What happens when ambition dares to defy nature and safety gets left behind? From a mega dam so massive it could ignite a water war, to a mountain road with 99 death-defying bends, and a sky-high bridge that flirts with disaster. These aren't just engineering feats, they're monuments to risk. Stay with us as we count down the 20 most dangerous projects built by Chinese. Yarlung Tsangpo Dam. How far is China willing to go for power? Literally. Tucked deep in the Tibetan Plateau, China's got plans for what might be the most dangerous dam ever proposed, the Yarlung Tsangpo Mega Dam. If this thing gets built, it'll crush every record out there. We're talking a 6,560-foot drop. Yeah, and a price tag that's flexing at $137 billion. But it's not just the scale that's got folks worried. This monster project sits right on the Yarlung Tsangpo River, which flows into India as the Brahmaputra. So, if China controls the flow, that's game-changing. Geopolitical drama with India and Bangladesh, where millions depend on that river to survive. And with no real international agreement to regulate this kind of thing, it's a ticking time bomb for water wars. But hold up, it gets sketchier. The location sits in a high-risk seismic zone. One major quake, and the whole thing could go from engineering marvel to full-blown catastrophe. And let's not ignore the sacred significance of this river to the Tibetan people. It's more than just water. It's part of their spiritual identity. So, is this about energy or control? Beijing says it's to push renewables, but critics are calling it a power play, literally and politically. And with satellite images showing rapid construction despite official silence, it's no surprise neighbors are on edge. South-North Water Transfer Project. What happens when a country decides to reroute nature itself? China's South-North Water Transfer Project is one of the biggest and most controversial engineering projects the world's ever seen. The goal? Shift trillions of gallons of water from the water-rich south to the dry, thirsty north. Sounds smart on paper, but the real story? Dark. This mega scheme has already forced over 330,000 people out of their homes, displaced for the sake of pipelines and canals. And that's just the human cost. Environmental watchdogs are bugging out over the long-term effects. The project cuts through fragile ecosystems, raises pollution risks, and could totally wreck the balance in the Yangtze River basin. Beijing isn't slowing down. Despite the backlash, the government's plowing ahead with east, central, and planned western routes, stretching thousands of miles across the country. It's like a man-made river system, but one that might come with serious strings attached. And with rising demand, groundwater shortages, and climate change hitting hard, some experts are saying this isn't a fix. It's just a high-risk band-aid. So, is China solving a crisis or building a new one? Is it innovation or overreach? Three Gorges Dam. It's the biggest hydroelectric dam on Earth. But what's the real cost of that title? The Three Gorges Dam in China is a beast. Built across the Yangtze River, it generates more power than any other dam in the world. On the surface, it's a flex of engineering muscle. But dig a little deeper and things get messy real fast. For starters, over 1.3 million people were forced to pack up and leave their homes. Whole towns vanished underwater. And then came the environmental fallout. Massive landslides, disrupted ecosystems, sediment buildup throwing off the river's natural flow, and even seismic tremors linked to the dam's massive reservoir. Scientists have been raising red flags about the potential for earthquakes triggered by the sheer weight of water. And with China sitting on multiple fault lines, that's a wild card no one wants to play. And it's not just nature paying the price. Experts say the dam gives China serious leverage over water control downstream, raising tension with countries that also depend on the Yangtze's flow. So, is the Three Gorges Dam a symbol of progress or a ticking time bomb wrapped in concrete? With more extreme weather and rising global instability, this project could either be a lifeline or the start of something way worse. Yangtze Expressway. What do you get when you build a highway through mountains, clouds, and earthquake zones? A project that's as risky as it is mind-blowing. The Yangtze Expressway, deep in China's Sichuan province, isn't your average road. This thing clings to steep cliffs, winds through tunnels punched into rock, and floats above valleys on sky-high bridges. It stretches about 150 miles, linking Ya'an to Xichang, but getting from point A to B on this route? That's not for the faint of heart. Construction crews had to battle landslides, unstable slopes, and wild weather, all while balancing heavy machinery on narrow ledges. One wrong move during the build, and it would have been game over. Over 270 bridges and nearly 30 tunnels, some carved into active seismic zones. Yeah, this area is no stranger to earthquakes. Locals call it a highway in the clouds, and for good reason. When fog rolls in, drivers are basically rolling through a whiteout with nothing but guardrails separating them from a deadly drop. Despite the risks, this expressway is a lifeline for the region, connecting remote towns and boosting trade. Still, every time a car hits that road, it's rolling the dice with Mother Nature. Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge. You stand on it, maybe just a passenger in a car, gazing out across the endless water. But beneath your wheels, a battleground of ambition, risk, and irreversible damage. The Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge isn't just a bridge. It's a 34-mile titan stretched across the Pearl River Delta, the longest sea crossing on Earth. It took 9 years, billions of dollars, and more controversy than China wants to admit. On the surface, it screams progress. But dig deeper, and the cracks start to show. This project didn't just test engineering limits, it tested human lives. Workers died, safety corners were cut, investigations exposed a mess of mismanagement and cost overruns that smelled like corruption. Still, the concrete kept pouring, and while politicians smiled for cameras, the ocean cried quiet. Chinese white dolphins, rare, sacred, already on the brink, began to vanish. Experts say construction noise and disrupted habitats pushed them closer to extinction. A bridge was built and a species paid the price. But maybe the biggest question is why it was built at all. Was this really about improving transport? Or was it Beijing's concrete leash linking Hong Kong tighter to the mainland under the guise of unity? Coca-Codo Sinclair Dam. On paper, it was supposed to light up Ecuador's future. Instead, it's cracking, literally, and dragging an entire ecosystem down with it. The Coca-Codo Sinclair Dam, built by China's state-run Sinohydro, is Ecuador's largest infrastructure project. But not long after construction wrapped, problems started creeping in. And now, it's a full-blown engineering nightmare. Over 17,000 cracks have been found in the plant's infrastructure. These aren't minor surface flaws. They're serious enough that Ecuador's government is now suing Sinohydro, citing massive environmental damage and a complete failure to deliver on project promises. The dam's presence has thrown the Coca River completely out of balance. Downstream, intense erosion is chewing away the riverbanks at an alarming rate, triggering landslides and endangering the iconic San Rafael Falls, once a national treasure, now nearly destroyed. In spite of being warned about unstable terrain and technical flaws early on, the project went ahead full throttle. Critics say corners were cut, and now locals are the ones paying the price, with ruined landscapes, damaged homes, and lost biodiversity. So, was this dam a gift? Or a ticking time bomb disguised as progress? Ecuador wanted power, but at what cost? Port City Colombo. It's being called a futuristic mini Dubai on Sri Lanka's coast, but beneath the glossy promos, Port City Colombo is drowning in controversy. Built by China Communications Construction Co., this $1.4 billion megaproject is rising right off the shoreline of Colombo. The plan? Artificial islands, skyscrapers, luxury living, and global investors. But the locals, they're paying the real price. Fishermen, over 80,000 households worth, say their livelihoods are vanishing. The dredging and land reclamation have choked off traditional fishing zones, stirred up sediment, and disrupted marine life. For families who've depended on the ocean for generations, this project didn't just alter the coast, it wrecked their way of life. And it's not just the fishing. Environmental groups are raising alarms about coastal erosion, rising flood risks, and long-term ecological damage. What used to be a natural buffer against storms is now a concrete wall blocking the sea's rhythm. Despite pushback, construction barrels ahead, backed by big loans, political deals, and China's growing footprint in South Asia. Tianmen Mountain 99 Bending Road. Would you trust your life to a strip of asphalt clinging to the side of a mountain, with 99 razor-sharp bends between you and the sky? That's the deal on Tianmen Mountain's 99 Bending Road in China's Hunan province. It looks more like a daredevil's dream or a stunt scene from an action film than an actual road. winding up nearly 7 miles of brutal elevation. This serpentine path twists through mist and madness on its way to the Heaven's Gate, a natural arch at the summit that feels like the entrance to another world. But getting there, that's no peaceful drive. Each of the 99 turns dares you to lose focus. There are no margins for error, just sheer cliffs, narrow lanes, and guardrails that feel more symbolic than secure. Tour buses crawl up daily, brakes groaning, passengers holding their breath. Fog can swallow the road in seconds. Rain turns curves into traps, and the higher you go, the harder it is to tell where the pavement ends and the drop begins. This isn't just a road, it's a psychological gauntlet. Every twist tightens your grip on the wheel. Every incline pushes your nerve to the edge. Thrill seekers chase it, locals respect it, and safety officials eye it with quiet dread. Zhangjiajie Glass Bridge. Some bridges take you across a gap. This one dares you to defy gravity. Suspended between two cliffs in China's Zhangjiajie Grand Canyon, the Zhangjiajie Glass Bridge looks like something out of a movie. Stretching over 1,400 feet long and hovering nearly 1,000 feet in the air, it's the world's highest and longest glass-bottom bridge. Beneath your feet, just crystal-clear panels and a bone-chilling vertical drop. Built with triple-tempered glass, it was hyped as unbreakable. Engineers even smashed it with sledgehammers on camera to prove its strength. But the real shock came after it opened. They planned for 8,000 visitors a day. Over 80,000 showed up. The bridge was overwhelmed and shut down just 13 days later. But glass isn't the only danger. Up here, weather's the wild card. Fog rolls in like a horror movie set. Rain slicks the panels. Winds howl through the canyon, rattling nerves and testing balance. Some thrill seekers laugh. Others stop cold, frozen in fear, clinging to the rails as the void stretches beneath them. Yes, the views are next level. Floating above mountains, clouds at eye level. It's pure adrenaline and awe. But every step is a psychological war between wonder and survival instinct. So, what is this bridge really? A masterpiece of modern engineering or a panic attack with a view? Grand Canyon Bridge. China just dropped a jaw-dropping engineering bomb, and it towers 9 times higher than the Golden Gate Bridge. Meet the Huajiang Grand Canyon Bridge. It's officially the tallest bridge on Earth, standing an insane 1,000 feet above the canyon floor in Guizhou Province. Designed to cut travel time from over an hour to just a couple of minutes, this beast slices right through rugged terrain like it's no biggie. Building something this massive in such a remote, unstable region isn't exactly a walk in the park. One slip-up during construction could have ended in disaster. And with towers rising taller than skyscrapers, workers were literally hanging in the clouds, welding steel in crazy winds. The margin for error? Zero. Not to mention the pressure to open on schedule, with the whole country watching. Critics are also raising eyebrows. Was this about convenience or national bragging rights? Some say China's racing to outdo itself, pushing megaprojects into dangerous territory just for the headlines.
And now, it's time for the open discussion.
These Chinese workers build roads on cliffs, and it's incredibly dangerous. Just look at them balancing on steel beams with nothing but a misty canyon beneath their boots. How do they stay calm while pouring concrete inches from a deadly drop? What drives them to take on such jaw-dropping risks every single day? Is it bravery or necessity? With every step, they're defying gravity and rewriting the limits of human grit. Would you ever take a job like this? Drop your thoughts below. And don't forget to mention #OpenDiscussion. Wenzhou train collision. What do you get when a nation races toward progress and forgets to hit the brakes? In July 2011, China's high-speed rail dream turned into a national nightmare. Near Wenzhou, 2 bullet trains collided, one stalled by a lightning strike, the other plowing into it at full speed after a catastrophic system failure. Carriages flew off the viaduct. 40 lives lost, nearly 200 injured, but the real shock came after the crash. Authorities scrambled, not to rescue, but to bury one of the mangled train cars. It wasn't just a misstep, it was a cover-up. The outrage was instant. Social media exploded. The government tried to censor the backlash, but it was too late. The veil had lifted. What followed was a damning investigation. Signal systems were flawed. Safety protocols were ignored. Corners had been cut in the rush to build faster, flashier, and bigger. Prestige had trumped planning. Ambition had outrun responsibility. This wasn't just a collision of trains, it was a collision of pride, pressure, and recklessness. The Wenzhou disaster forced a nation to confront the dark side of rapid development. It showed the human cost of pushing too fast, too far without asking, is it safe? Is it ready? Because when progress forgets the people it's meant to serve, tragedy isn't just possible, it's inevitable. Novi Sad Railway Station. When a modern train station becomes a crime scene, something's seriously off. The newly built Novi Sad railway station in Serbia made headlines, not for sleek design or fast trains, but for a terrifying collapse. The station's massive canopy roof came crashing down, just months after being completed by Chinese contractors as part of a high-profile rail upgrade. Miraculously, no one died, but the structure's sudden failure sent shockwaves through the country. Investigators quickly uncovered shoddy construction, flawed materials, and flat-out negligence. And it didn't stop there. 13 people, including a former government minister, were charged in the aftermath. This wasn't just about a roof falling. It exposed deep cracks in the entire process, from corrupt deals and weak oversight to dangerous shortcuts in design and execution. Critics now question how many other structures built under similar deals could be hiding similar risks. With China's Belt and Road Initiative pouring billions into overseas projects, the collapse in Novi Sad is a chilling reminder. Flashy infrastructure can't cover up faulty foundations. Karuma Hydropower Project. It was supposed to light up Uganda's future, but instead it's drowning in defects, delays, and debt. The Karuma Hydropower Project, built by China's Sinohydro, is one of Uganda's largest energy investments. Funded through hefty Chinese loans, it was meant to pump 600 megawatts of electricity into the grid. But behind the glossy headlines, a construction nightmare unfolded. Inspectors uncovered over 500 serious defects, from cracked walls and leaking tunnels to faulty electrical cables that couldn't even pass basic safety checks. Add to that a nasty buildup of waterweed that clogs the dam's intake system, and you've got a power station barely limping toward full operation. Uganda had to start paying back its massive loan before the dam was even finished. That's like buying a busted car on credit and making payments while it sits in the shop. What should have been a milestone project dragged on for years, constantly bogged down by shoddy workmanship and poor oversight. And with public trust wearing thin, officials are now scrambling to patch up problems while the pressure to deliver grows by the day. Neelam Jhelum Hydropower Project. How does a billion-dollar power project meant to fuel a nation end up choking its own future just 4 years after launch? That's the burning question surrounding Pakistan's Neelam Jhelum Hydropower Project. Completed in 2018 with major backing from Chinese contractors, it was pitched as a game-changer, an energy milestone that would light homes, power industries, and ease Pakistan's crippling electricity woes. But by 2022, the dream cracked wide open. Literally. The project's pressure tunnel, its main artery, developed serious structural damage, not cosmetic flaws. If that tunnel goes, it doesn't just shut off the power. It risks blackouts, system instability, and economic shockwaves across the grid. And it gets worse. Every month the tunnel stays offline costs Pakistan around $44 million in lost power generation. That's a financial hemorrhage with no quick fix. Investigations have pointed to rushed timelines, design flaws, and questionable construction oversight. What was once a symbol of progress is now a cautionary tale. Proof that speed and spectacle can't replace quality and caution. So what did Pakistan really buy? A long-term energy solution or a time bomb buried beneath the mountains? This isn't just an engineering flaw. It's a high-stakes warning. Because when national infrastructure is held together by weak planning and wishful thinking, all it takes is one crack to bring the whole system down. 2024 Lixinsha Bridge collapse. In just seconds, a massive section of China's Lixinsha Bridge crumbled into the water, taking vehicles, lives, and public confidence with it. In February 2024, tragedy struck in Guangzhou's Nansha district when a cargo ship slammed into a bridge pillar, causing a catastrophic collapse. Part of the bridge broke off instantly, plunging cars and a bus straight into the river below. 5 lives were lost, and the footage? Absolutely chilling. This wasn't just an accident. Investigations revealed serious flaws in design resilience, safety planning, and traffic control around critical infrastructure. Locals had raised concerns about large vessels navigating under low-clearance bridges in tight channels. Yet no major precautions were in place. And this isn't the first time China's faced infrastructure failures tied to collisions or rushed construction. The Lixinsha Bridge collapse has now become a symbol of deeper cracks in the system, where rapid expansion often overshadows safety. The Shenzhen waste collapse. In a booming city like Shenzhen, you'd expect strict oversight. But in 2015, one of China's most shocking man-made disasters proved otherwise. It all started with construction waste, tons of it. Instead of being safely managed, it was piled into an unstable artificial hill near an industrial park. Over time, that mountain of debris grew taller and more dangerous until it finally gave way. On December 20th, the unthinkable happened. The entire waste mound collapsed, triggering a violent landslide that buried 33 buildings and killed 73 people. Survivors described hearing a roar, then watching the earth move like a wave, swallowing everything in its path. But this wasn't just a freak accident. Investigators uncovered a web of negligence, poor planning, ignored warnings, forged permits, and zero enforcement. The site had already shown signs of instability, slips, cracks, warnings from locals, but nothing was done. Officials later admitted the collapse wasn't natural. It was avoidable. What followed was public outrage, not just over the deaths, but the system behind it. Corruption, cut corners, and a city chasing growth without regard for safety. Doge Bridge. When you build a bridge higher than the Eiffel Tower, you're not just defying gravity, you're tempting fate. The Doge Bridge, also known as the Beipingjiang Bridge, holds the crown as the highest bridge in the world. Hovering a staggering 1,854 feet above a deep canyon in China's Guizhou province, this megastructure connects two cliffs across some of the roughest, most remote terrain on Earth. But here's the real story. It's as dangerous as it is daring. Construction teams faced wild challenges: gale force winds, freezing temps, and sheer vertical drops that left zero room for error. Every beam, cable, and concrete pour had to be perfect, or lives were on the line. And even now, with traffic rolling across its deck, engineers are still keeping a close watch. The region is known for seismic activity. That's right, earthquakes. Combine that with extreme weather and high-altitude stress on materials, and you've got a structure constantly battling nature's worst. Critics warn that long-term durability is still a question mark. While it's a stunning engineering achievement, there's concern it may have been pushed too far, too fast. Fast! It's the world's largest radio telescope, and it listens to the universe from deep inside China's mountains. But behind the science, there's a much darker side. The 500-meter Aperture Spherical Telescope, or FAST, sits in a remote karst valley in Guizhou province. With a dish the size of 30 football fields, it's a technological beast, built to hunt for signals from deep space and unlock cosmic mysteries. But while the world marveled at the engineering, thousands on the ground paid the real price. To make room for FAST and eliminate any radio interference, over 9,000 people were displaced, moved from their homes, often with little choice and limited compensation. And it didn't stop there. Entire zones were sealed off, banning cell signals, cutting off business, and forcing rural communities into economic hardship. And then there's the land. The construction dug deep into delicate terrain, sparking fears of long-term soil erosion, deforestation, and damage to fragile ecosystems. Environmentalists have raised red flags, saying the mountain's been altered so drastically, the effects may not show until it's too late. Yes, FAST is a scientific marvel, but at what cost? So, is it a gateway to the stars, or a project that sacrificed people and nature in silence? Jiaozhou Bay Bridge. Is this the future of infrastructure, or just a glossy illusion barely holding together? The Jiaozhou Bay Bridge in China's Shandong province was built to stun. At over 25 miles long, it once held the crown as the world's longest sea-crossing bridge, a concrete serpent slashing across open ocean. It was meant to showcase engineering muscle, but beneath the shine, trouble was already brewing. Within days of opening, warning signs surfaced: cracks in the deck, uneven road surfaces, and saltwater corrosion creeping in far too soon. Then came the bombshells. Insiders claiming missing guardrails, skipped safety checks, and rushed sections slammed together to hit a political deadline. It wasn't just sloppy, it was reckless. Workers admitted they were under pressure to finish fast. Corners were cut. Oversight got blurred. The result? A record-breaking project built more for headlines than for safety. Yes, the bridge still stands, but it does so under constant watch. Engineers warn that without aggressive, ongoing maintenance, this megastructure could degrade fast, especially with rising seas and intensifying coastal storms pounding its foundations. Dalian Bay Subsea Tunnel, 15 days. That's how long it took for a brand new underwater tunnel in Dalian to go from state-of-the-art to full-on chaos. Just over 2 weeks after opening, the Dalian Bay Subsea Tunnel suffered an accidental water leak, triggering widespread panic and casting serious doubt on the safety of one of China's newest mega-infrastructure projects. A multi-billion yuan project designed to run beneath the sea, and it couldn't stay sealed for even a month? The leak sent emergency teams scrambling as commuters feared a full collapse. Thankfully, disaster was avoided. But the trust? Authorities were quick to downplay the incident, calling it under control, but that didn't stop public outrage. People demanded answers. Was the tunnel rushed? Were proper safety checks skipped? And most importantly, could it happen again? With rising concerns about construction standards and long-term durability under such extreme conditions, the Dalian Tunnel has now become a case study in what happens when ambition outpaces accountability. Thanks for watching. These projects push the limits of engineering and sometimes cross the line into danger. If this shook you or made you think twice about what progress really costs, hit like, subscribe, and sound off in the comments.